friends, welcome back to another video. I'm Joan. Welcome to the Book Collector. This is a place, it's my quest. I keep collecting books, so I'm on a quest to try to read the actual books I'm collecting as I collect more. So if you're new here, you're welcome. We just talk about books that I've read. And if you want to get into a conversation, you can leave me a comment and I'll engage. But thus far, I have a few friends. Anyway, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about a book. Maybe there's controversy with it. I don't know why, but perhaps. So, what if a single book could help ignite a movement and change the course of history? Do you think there's a book like that? Well, that's exactly what this book did. This is Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. And today I'm diving into this classic, why it mattered, what it got right, what it got wrong, and why I think it's still worth reading today. I also want to share some things that really stood out to me. Like how Uncle Tom reminded me of a biblical figure. And the way one family could show the absolute best and the absolute worst of humanity. So let's get into it, right? Published in 1852, Uncle Tom's Cabin sold 300,000 copies in its first year to become, I think, the best-selling book of the 19th century, right after the Bible. So that's a pretty, I don't know, maybe like Harry Potter-ish. I don't really know the stats on that, but that is tremendous. And I do think it was serialized first. I think it was, put in the paper a little bit at a time, sort of like Dickens was or Sherlock Holmes. But anyway, that is a tremendous stat, and it gave readers, especially in the North, a shocking look at the realities of slavery. Maybe they weren't fully aware? I don't know. Abraham Lincoln is reported to have said when he met Harriet Beecher Stowe, "So you're the little woman who wrote the book that started this great war." Now, whether that happened or not, I don't know, but it's a good story, isn't it? Either way, the impact of this book and this story is undeniable. At its heart, this is the story of Uncle Tom, an enslaved man whose faith and integrity, it never wavers. Even when life becomes unimaginably cruel and situations feel hopeless, he remains faithful and full of integrity and hope. It's astounding. We also follow many other powerful storylines, like Eliza, who has a daring escape across a frozen river to save her child. And it's a book about suffering, obviously, it's slavery, but it has hope and the human capacity for both good and evil. One thing that really struck me was how Uncle Tom, and I've already alluded to this, Uncle Tom reminded me so much of the biblical figure Job. And just like Job, Tom is steadfast in his faith through unimaginable suffering. His strength isn't in rebellion or violence, but in enduring with grace. And it is unimaginable, just like in the story of Job. And whether you agree or with that approach or not, it is a powerful moral center for the story. It guides and motivates everything around it, for sure. Another part of the story that really stayed with me was the St. Clair family. They had the best and the worst of humanity contained in this one family. And so we first meet Ava, the young girl, the daughter of the couple, St. Clair's. I'm sorry, it's so hot. I should turn the air on, but then it makes too much noise. Anyway, Ava is this kind and caring soul who, you know, Tom saves her, and I don't want to give too much away, but they end up purchasing Tom from a slave dealer, and he then goes into this family. So the daughter is the beacon of goodness, and the father is somewhere in the middle. He's going to give Tom his freedom, and so he can go back and be reunited with his family. And unfortunately, he passes, and it's left to the wife, who is the other end of the spectrum from the really good daughter. She is not outwardly as evil as some other characters, but because of her indifference, it makes her shockingly evil. Is it worse to be indifferent, or I don't know. There is a character who, by all accounts, he was outwardly far worse, but her indifference, I think, so that St. Clair family is hard to get out of your head. So that range of reaction within one family was painful to read, and you knew kind of what was going to come, and it broke your heart. I just wanted to fast forward through some of it because I knew it wasn't going to end well, and very sad. But Eva was this light in the story. And obviously Tom is the main light. But so there are so many themes in this book that are worth talking about. You have faith and morality versus systematic evil. You have motherhood and the lengths a parent would go to for their child. And of course, the way slavery corrupted every part of society in the North and the South. For me, what makes this book so fascinating isn't just the historical impact, and it still feels relevant when we talk about empathy and justice and humanity. And one of my favorite quotes from the book, taken from chapter 40, is I'm going to make sure I get this right. The longest way must have its close. The gloomiest night still wear on to a morning. So it's not necessarily the way we would speak that now, but a long road even has its nearness of I'm almost there, I think is what it's trying to say. And the stormiest, gloomiest night will still could dawn to a new day, and all the possibilities that lay in there. So that was beautiful, and I do actually like the way it is articulated through the language, albeit archaic. So that sense of hope in the darkest moment, it really stayed with me, and it's what I take away from it. So how do I rate Uncle Tom's Cabin? Honestly, it is a 5-star read for historical significance. Even if the language is archaic and is dated at times, it's emotional, it's challenging, and it will make you think. I told my friend that I felt like a better human for having read the book. If you love classics and want to understand how literature can shape history, this is a must-read. If you are a person of faith, I think this is a must-read. It is just saturated with biblical theme and right and wrong. And so I do say a 5-star for its historical importance. However, I think on my Goodreads I put a 4-star, which means I loved it. But I do think the language, particularly at the beginning, can be a barrier. So I did a little audio and I have the hardcover. I mean, you know, I have a physical copy as well. And I did both. And I think, I'm not sure I would have been able to get over that initial hump because there's a lot of dialogue and the accents are written into the dialogue. So it's difficult to read and figure out what they're trying to say initially. But once you get over that, there's more, you know, narrative and it's easier to go along. I do think everyone should read this, and it was an amazing book, and I really did love it. So have you read Uncle Tom's Cabin? Do you think it's still relevant today? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. If you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe for more book reading content every week. And that's all for now, but thanks for watching. Until next time, keep reading.